About 30 members of Morgan City High School's class of 1966 gathered at the Acadiana Grill on Saturday for their 50-year reunion. We talked to some of the 1966 graduates about their memories, their education, and what they've been up to for the last half century.
Morgan City High was I would say, an average-sized school in the state of Louisiana. We had some fantastic kids. We had some just fantastic teachers. We had Mr. Lewis Holmes, who was our principal, who is, as far as I'm concerned, he was one of the best principals I've ever had. And we thoroughly enjoyed going to school at Morgan City High School. That's why I love being a Tiger. I was very fortunate because of all the fantastic football players around me in my senior year. I was very fortunate to receive a scholarship, an athletic scholarship to Tulane University, and that didn't pan out very well for me, so I went to Northeast Louisiana and became one of the starting quarterbacks for the University of Louisiana in Monroe. And I graduated from University of Louisiana Monroe with my bachelor's degree.
What did you go into?
Actually, I went into the oil field, which is usual in the state of Louisiana. And actually, I went to work for Shell Oil originally, and then later on, I worked for a series of oil field service corporations and worked for them overseas. Lived overseas for 15 years of my life, and then I continued traveling overseas for the next 15 years of my career.
High school itself was a very close-knit school. Our particular class was very close. We stayed close. We did a lot of activities out of school. My home that I grew up in was one of the houses that all of them used to gather after football. My father ran a restaurant here at the time, and that was where after the football games we gathered there, if not there, at my home in Morgan City. When we're in high school, we don't visualize what we're going to be at 60. I have been blessed. I have 2 children. I've got grandchildren. But as far as these people here with us tonight, I think the only thing I knew that was going to be the same is our friendship. That I knew would stick, and it has. That was the best part.
High school was interesting for me because when I went into high school as a freshman, I decided to go college prep type courses. And had a lot of people in high school at the time telling me that maybe I'm going to go general studies and so forth, but I decided to dive headlong into some really good curricula, and it was a rewarding experience. Was involved in sports, and especially football, a little bit of basketball. Just a lot of fun, a lot of good people, a lot of challenging times, a lot of great teachers, great principals. Yeah, I think one of my favorite teachers was Mrs. Michel in biology, great teacher. Another one was Mrs. Guidry in chemistry. She taught us how to use the slide rule, which became very helpful throughout the years. Another one was Mr. Sunvik, who taught us math, and enjoyed his classes a lot. And of course my coach, Coach Waldrop, and Coach Wyman, Coach Belair, and Coach Ewing. Went to LSU in Baton Rouge, got a bachelor's in electrical engineering and a master's in nuclear engineering. Enjoyed that experience tremendously. Of course, LSU is a big school, had a lot of great times, a lot of fun, but also a lot of hard work. In Baton Rouge, we were married in LSU Catholic chapel with my priest there and her Presbyterian minister marrying us. But after school, I went to Houston, Texas, worked with Brandon Root in nuclear power plant design. After that, went over to Saudi Arabia, spent 7.5 years there with Aramco. Shareholder companies were Exxon, Mobil, SoCal, and Texaco. Moved back in '85 when my younger son was going into first grade. Moved to Austin, Texas with Austin Energy. Spent 12 years there. Both kids were going back into college. We moved back to Arabia, spent 10 years there, and then retired in '07 for Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah, the school that I was going to in New Orleans was an experimental high school for Jefferson Parish. It was Riverdale Senior High. It was an all-women's high school that they were trying to experiment with at that time. And then I came to Morgan City like in February of '64, I think it was. For me, it was a big change going from a big city to a smaller community, but everyone knew everyone else. They had grown up with each other from the time they were born, it seemed like, but they were also very welcoming to someone that knew in their community that had just come in, so to speak, right in the middle of their sophomore year in high school. I went on, and at that time, it was called Northeast Louisiana State College, which is now called the University of Louisiana Monroe. And I graduated from there with a BS in Home Economics, Clothing and Textiles, their fashion merchandising. After college, I moved to Dallas, Texas, and worked for a couple of clothing manufacturers and was in the executive training program of one of the department stores, and happened to meet someone from Wisconsin, and we married and we moved north. And so now I live in Minneapolis. It's an interesting little town that, as I tell all my friends, I said, South Louisiana is an interesting, different part of the world, as I live in Minnesota that is so fully Scandinavian and everything. And Morgan City is just kind of the opposite. It's wonderful. I love coming down here, and I generally go as the thing that I want to come down and see and experiences are Southern accents and really good food.